Okay, we'll start now. Students, what I'm going to do today is one very important topic in ethics syllabus is there. Civil service values and ethics in public administration. Now, this I'm going to take up. So, what I will do is I will first try to briefly describe this topic, subtopics of this main topic, and also what are the main values of civil service and how ethics can be, uh, uh, consciously practiced in public administration. Uh, After covering a topic in brief, what I will do is I will try to take up a few PYQs pertaining to this topic. Uh, Maybe because I have already gone through the PYQs, what I find is quite less number of direct questions are being asked from this topic. What is being asked is indirect questions, because most of the case studies demand the content from this topic. Most of other questions also demand content from this topic. So even though directly many questions are not asked from this topic, but indirectly this is very, very important topic, because the values which are very important as far as civil service is concerned, for example, integrity is there, impartiality is there, non-partisanship, objectivity, empathy, compassion, etc. So all these values and the sources of these values, from where these arrive, and how it's useful in public administration or civil administration for administrators. So all those things are very, very important. So now let us start. Uh, I will share the document. One more thing I just want to tell before I start the topic. See, in my class, I do use some PDF material. Uh, Students need not take much note about that. The notings and PDF notes usually I provide next day in my WhatsApp and Telegram group. The WhatsApp and Telegram group you can join by clicking the link which is given in the uh, description of this video, as well as YouTube channel description also. So what I want to tell is, you have to listen properly, you have to understand the thing, and then try to obtain the notes from there. So if you are not able to, because sometimes in videos, the fonts may be small, so you may not be able to see it properly, but you should listen and then you should try to understand those topics. This is what my request will be. So now let us start. First, we will, after introduction, we will try to see what are the important values in civil administration, and then how it affects civil administration, and how ethics and values uh, basically influence public administration to make it better. So all those things we will understand. So see, the point is, in several documents, uh, whether it is Nolan Committee report, whether it is second ARC report, this point has been very, very, given emphasis that ethics and values in public administration are very, very important. Uh, See, ethical behavior not only ensures legitimacy and fairness in governance, but also upgrades it, because then, uh, see, unless your, because it's said also, your governance or the administration should not only be legal, but it should be ethical also. So then only in a democratic setup, the administrators will give respect also, value also, and will be able to do what is the objective of the constitution or objective of the various schemes, programs, and administration also. So see, for example, one important quotation from Paul Appleby: public administration is not value neutral. It is a moral endeavor. This is very important. Sometimes these kind of quotations come for elaboration, for explanation also. So that also we should try to understand. Second ARC, I have already told, this very, very important document. This often it needs to be quoted in theoretical questions as well as even in case studies. Now, let us try to understand what are the important civil service values, meaning, significance, and challenges after introduction. See, civil services values basically are reflected, as I told, in several documents. Now, what are those documents? First is AIS conduct rules, because conduct rules also requires, I'm telling AIS conduct rules because All India service, you are appearing for All India service and central service examination. So, but there are CCA rules also. So what I want to say is every state service also or civil service also has conduct rules. So accordingly, it should be read. So AIS conduct rules or central service conduct rules or state service conduct rules, there are different conduct rules, but the essence is same, because conduct rules do require an officer or administrator to behave in an ethical manner and legal manner. So one source, important source, is conduct rules. Another is Nolan Committee's 7 principles of public life. This is Nolan Committee is from England. So he has, given a big report, and mainly there are 7 principles in public life are mentioned there. The Indian Constitution, again, preamble itself is a very, very important document as far as the ethical objectives are concerned. But then there are articles like 14, right to equality, articles like 21, right to life and liberty, and then also 51A, fundamental duties, etc. So all this also demand ethical behavior from public servants. And then second ARC report on ethics. This is also again very important document as far as ethics in public administration is concerned. So these are the main sources, and why I have written here, because these needs to be quoted often whenever you are writing a theoretical answer or even a case study answer. So that also you should understand. Now, what are the important civil service values? Now, let us try to understand that. First is integrity. Very important. I can tell you there is an ACR, or now they call APAR, that is a performance appraisal report, annual performance appraisal report. There is integrity column, and this is since time immemorial, integrity column is there, and officer needs to have integrity beyond doubt. So integrity is very, very important ethical value for any public servant. Integrity means obviously consistency between one's values, decisions, and actions. It demands honesty even in the absence of supervision. This is very, very important. Honesty even in the absence of supervision. It was central to, of course, Socrates' ideas of moral consciences and Kant's deontology also, because there also duties for duty's sake, and Gita's also, Gita duties for duty's sake. So Kant, Gita, or Socrates, all these sources, they subscribe to integrity. And as C.S. Lewis very, intelligently puts it, integrity is doing the right thing even when no one is watching. So without even any watchdog, without any supervision, without any, you can say, monitoring, still, if the officer or the bureaucrat or the administrator is doing the right thing, he is an officer with high integrity or integrity beyond doubt. So this is one of the very, very important ethical value. Second is impartiality. Impartiality requires fair treatment of all, regardless of caste, creed, or political affiliation, etc. It is in Article 14, as I have already told, right to equality. Then also Max Weber's theory of bureaucratic neutrality, where administration has to be rational, formal, and impersonal. Then third, I have taken non-partisanship. This value ensures that public officials do not align with political ideology, because in a particularly parliamentary form of democracy, governments keep on changing. With one political ideology, they rule, then another. But then you should not align with political ideology. You have to align with constitutional values, constitution. So this is Sardar Patel's vision of an apolitical civil service, which is the steel frame of India. Then another is objectivity. Objectivity is decision making based on verified facts, free from personal bias. So in a way, objectivity and impartiality, if you think, are in a way related with each other. So that this also is very, very important. Ethical values, AV diocese rule of law, ensuring fairness and predictability in governance. Then empathy, very, very important ethical value. And Gandhiji's views can be quoted, Buddha's empathy, then Daniel Goleman also emotional intelligence thing is mainly based on empathy. So empathy is the emotional ability to feel what another person feels. So basically, a person or administrator with empathy will be able to feel the pain of others, or particularly downtrodden, marginalized sections of the society. You will be able to understand what pain, what sadness, what problems they are facing, and how they can be resolved. So accordingly, you will apply your mind. So this is very, very important. So emotional intelligence identifies empathy as a key leadership trait necessary for emotionally responsive governance. Very, very important. Then compassion, another related idea. Empathy and compassion are in a way related. Compassion is empathy plus action. So you see, proactive seeking to reduce other suffering. For example, Nell Noding's ethics of care, because this is also very important. Compassion forms the foundation of a relational and humane morality. Then another ethical value, dedication to public service. One has to be dedicated, one has to be totally committed. This reflects Gandhian ideals of Sarvodaya and Antyodaya. It demands personal sacrifice in pursuit of collective good. The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. This is what Gandhi said. So this is dedication to public service. Now, I mean, we have already, these are main, if you can say, ethical values which needs to be followed in any administration. But it's not easy. What are the challenges? Why it's not, one officer is not able to follow? I mean, very few are able to follow. Well, what are the challenges? Now let us try to understand. First is important one, and that is political interference. This undermines neutrality, because then you start favoring one political leader over the other, one political group over the other, one political area or constituency over the other. So this affects neutrality, this affects your non-partisanship, this affects your objectivity, and then accordingly all other values are also affected. Then corruption, very, very important reason for not following. So this affects integrity, honesty. So all these, and subsequently other values are also affected. So political interference, corruption, and then procedural rigidity. Because sometimes you want to show your empathy, you want to show your compassion, but then procedures will not allow or do not allow. So procedural rigidity is also very, very important deadlock in the whole thing. Absence of ethical leadership, then the concerned officer himself is unethical. He himself wants to not follow these values. So these are the main, if you can say, reasons why ethical administration is not there. Now, we'll go to ethical concerns and dilemmas in government and private institutions, because why this ethical values are important and what can be the dilemmas? What are the ethical dilemmas? Because once, in case studies also you have seen, because these are very, very important topic as far as case studies are also concerned, and theoretical questions are also concerned. So now let us go to ethical dilemma. An ethical dilemma arises when two equally important moral obligations are in conflict. So as Kidder's dilemma paradigm, because he told that usually ethical dilemmas are not choosing between right and wrong, but it's between right and right. Both values will be right. So which value you have to choose? For example, in government sector, law versus equity. Sometimes law, if you want to follow law or you want to follow equity. So, for example also I've taken evicting illegal settlers who have no alternative shelter. So here, yes, if you want to evict law, you will follow law, but then you are then violating the equity principle. Then obedience to superiors or public welfare, again, very, very important. And usually it happens. Your superior or the bosses will say something to do, but it will be against public welfare. So which thing you will follow? Then transparency versus confidentiality. Transparency is very, very important. But then certain administrative areas or certain sectors or certain fields do require confidentiality to be maintained, particularly security or investigations. So their confidentiality needs to be maintained. So there a conflict or contradiction will come. Similarly, in private sector, now these are in government sector. Similarly, in private sector, because private sector also questions are asked, is there some hospital is there or some other private sector institution is there. So in case studies, private sector questions do come. So therefore, we should be prepared for private sector also. Now, private sector, profit versus consumer welfare, very, very important, because a private sector concern wants to maximize the profit, but then consumer welfare will be affected. Data ethics, monetizing user data without informed consent. And this keeps on happening, whether it is social media platforms, whether it is other internet platforms, this is going to happen, or AI also now. Environmental sustainability versus economic growth is very, very important, because usually dumping toxic waste to save costs or building large projects, displacing a lot of forest areas and also tribals also. So all this will come in environment. Now, next is one example also I have given. You can also think of other examples also from your areas. In examples, I just want to tell all the students, please prepare a list of examples which you can relate with your case studies, which you can relate with your questions. And you should see that examples should be of only those officers or those dignitaries who are non-controversial. Because usually if you select some controversial example, you may, or your evaluation, at the time of evaluation, marks may be affected. So please be careful in that. Now, sources of ethical guidance. What are sources of ethical guidance? Now, another sub topic of this, let us try to understand. First is law. Law itself are sources of ethical guidance. For example, Prevention of Corruption Act is there, Whistleblowers Protection Act is there. Then now, Bharati Nyaya Samhita is there, IPC has been replaced by BNS. So these are, examples. There are several other laws also which are sources of ethical guidance. And if you follow those laws, you will be following mostly ethics also. What are the rules and regulations? Now, AIS conduct rules I've already told. Then CCS rules, Central Service rules, which detail expected behavior like avoiding conflict of interest, maintaining neutrality, and honesty in dealings, etc., are mentioned straightway in those rules. Then another important thing is conscience of the officer himself. Now, Kant's moral autonomy, deontology, or Tagore's idea of inner freedom. So these sources, these examples, they emphasize on the conscience of the officer himself, because inner voice guiding right conduct when external rules fall silent. Is closely linked to moral imagination, the ability to envision consequences of one's action. So if the officer has good conscience, definitely he will try to do good even if the rules are silent. Now, another subtopic will take accountability and ethical governance. Now, accountability implies being answerable to various stakeholders. It sustains institutional legitimacy and deters abuse of power. Because in a democratic setup, every administrator or every public servant or every civil servant is answerable or accountable to several stakeholders. Now, mechanisms, what are its mechanisms? For example, first is RTI Act, because you have to ensure transparency. You have to share the information. So this ensures social accountability. Public should know what are the, details of schemes or details of rules, regulations, details of application procedures. All those things should be known to public. And therefore, RTI Act is there. If any authority, any government agency is not disclosing these things properly, they can go and seek. And this also transparency ensures check on corruption, check on arbitrariness. So all those things can be ensured. Then CAG and parliamentary committees, Comptroller and Auditor General and parliamentary committees, they ensure political accountability. Then Lokpal, Lokayuktas and CVC. And accordingly, there are vigilance commissioners in the state. CVC is Central Vigilance Commissioner, it is in central level. But there are vigilance commissioner in every state government. So they ensure administrative and anti-corruption oversight. Then judicial review. Judiciary also, for example, High Court and Supreme Court, they ensure legal accountability. All acts, rules, regulations, etc., can be questioned in High Courts and Supreme Courts for judicial review. Now, let us understand what is ethical governance. Now, as I told earlier, ethical governance is not only legal. I mean, it goes beyond legal governance. Legal governance is minimum one has to do, because if you do illegal, you are anyway doing criminal act. So ethical governance goes beyond lawfulness. It ensures transparency, inclusion, responsiveness, and responsibility. This is very important. It aligns with John Rawls' theory of justice, Aristotle's phronesis, and Paul Applewhite's ethical discretion. All these theories are very important. In fact, there are in earlier classes, I've already covered all these theories. You can go through earlier lectures and you can find out a detail. What is John Rawls' theory of justice is there, what is Aristotle's phronesis is there, or Applewhite's ethical discretion is there. Now, these, if any administrator is following all this, he is doing ethical governance. And there are several others also. But all ethical theories have to be kept in mind, because in different situations, different ethical theories or different ethical principles will apply. So then ethical governance is possible only when you keep in mind these theories and these principles. Now, what are the various measures for strengthening ethical and moral values in governance? How it can be done? Because these kind of questions keep on coming. It will come in interview also. It may come in theory also. Now, what are the measures? Now, ethics training at Lavasana and state ATIs is very, very important. At training, it has to be included. I know Lavasana, they have included also, but some of the state ATIs, it still needs to be done. Our quality of training needs to be upgraded. So that needs to be done. Then citizen charters, social audits, and public hearings. These also ensure or strengthen ethical and moral values in governance. Another is institutional reforms. Ethics committees, e-governance, digitization. These are also very, very critical for ensuring ethical and moral governance, increasing transparency, increasing accountability. All these things can be done. Now, second ARC recommendations are also there. What are they? Establish code of ethics distinct from code of conduct rules. Promote ethical leadership and recognize whistleblowers. So this is the recommendation of second ARC. And this is also very important. This can be important step for strengthening ethical and moral values in governance. A few role models, officers I have noted. You should prepare a list of those officers. And I will repeat, prepare those who are respected, valued by almost everybody. They are non-controversial. And you try to quote only those officers and those examples. Now, next is ethical issues in international relations and funding. Now, there are ethical issues also now. There is already a trade war going between India and USA. So that also you should understand. But what are the ethical issues in international relations and funding? First is conditional aid. Second is vaccine diplomacy. I mean, these are examples I have given. Then climate equity. For example, vaccine diplomacy is very important as far as the COVID is concerned, because balancing national needs versus global moral duty. And India's vaccine Maitri initiative, as you know, neighboring countries, vaccines were sent. Conditional aid, do foreign funds compromise domestic sovereignty, or is it necessary? Climate equity, India's ethical stance at COP summits, advocating common but differentiated responsibilities. So all these are examples for this. Now, this will link to utilitarian ethics, cosmopolitanism, and Kautilya's Arthashastra. This international ethics. For example, maximizing global welfare, cosmopolitanism transcending national boundary to serve humanity, or Kautilya's Arthas, realist ethics tempered with dharma or duty. Now let us try to understand corporate governance and ethics also very briefly. Corporate governance refers to rules, processes, and practices ensuring ethical functioning of businesses and accountability to all stakeholders, not just shareholders. This is very important. Now, what are ethical failures as far as corporate ethics or corporate governance is concerned? We know Satyam scam, some of you may be remembering, where financial fraud happened. Then Volkswagen emission scandal, deceptive compliance was shown there. Then there are some positive models also. For example, Tata Group is usually considered better than all other corporate establishments. Infosys is there. Now, this is anchored in Peter Drucker's stakeholder theory. What is stakeholder theory? Is that corporations must serve the society. Then another ISO 26000 International Standard for Social Responsibility is again an important thing. Now, ethics can be the foundation of administrative dharma. Ethical conduct in public service is not optional, it is constitutional. While law defines that what one can do, ethics determines what one should do. The civil servant is a custodian of public trust, and only through value-guided action can that trust be preserved. The true measure of a man is how he treats someone who can do him absolutely no good. Now, this is very, again, important thing from Samuel Johnson, and this can be definitely it can come in some exam and some year for elaboration, or you can quote anyway in other answers also. The true measure of a man is how he treats someone who can do him absolutely no good. In a society fraught with inequality and institutional fatigue, for example, India, ethical governance is the cornerstone of responsive democracy and constitutional morality. So now this completes in brief the ethical values in public administration or ethics in public administration. Now I will try to take up a few PYQs. Usually, as I told, very less number of direct questions are coming. But case studies I have already covered in an elaborate manner. 2024, 2023 I have already covered. So therefore, I'm taking theoretical questions which are direct questions as far as this topic is concerned. Now, in 2024, there was one question 2B. Now, as you know, all theoretical questions are 10 marks questions in UPSC, and 150 words you have to write. So this question was also similar. And the question reads, I will read it just to understand what is the directive of the question and what is actually asked. Ethics encompasses several key dimensions that are crucial in guiding individuals and organizations towards morally responsible behavior. Explain the key dimensions of ethics that influence human actions. Discuss how these dimensions shape ethical decision making in the professional context. Now, if you see, this question is, first one is only statement. Second sentence is actual question. Now, in second sentence, there are two parts. First is explain the key dimensions of ethics that influence human actions. Second, discuss how these dimensions shape ethical decision making in professional context. So these are two parts. Both can be answered together, but 150 words are quite less. So one has to be very, very careful that both parts are adequately covered. Otherwise, you will not get good marks. So this is a seemingly simple, but not a simple question. So now let us see what can be the model answer for this. Ethics encompasses key dimensions that shape morally responsible behavior. What are the key dimensions? Intentionalities, consequences, virtue ethics, justice and fairness, integrity and self-reliance, accountability and transparency. And along with these, what I have done is quoted the sources also, or the concerned ethical thinker also, the concerned source also, you can say. For example, first one is Immanuel Kant, then second is Bentham and Mill, third is Aristotle and Trivallur, then John Rawls and Kautilya's Raj Dharma, then Mahatma Gandhi's ethical philosophy, and then Paul Appleby and second ARC. Now, this is the first part. First part, I will read it again. Explain the key dimensions of ethics that influence human actions. So this is first part. Now, second part is discuss how these dimensions shape ethical decision making in the professional context. So now second part we are coming. First part is this one. Now second part. In professional settings, these dimensions guide decisions that balance rules, outcomes, and values. Now, I keep on telling in ethics answers, you have to quote the sources. You have to definitely quote the ethical thinkers, ethical theories, sources also, which we have already done in first part, if you have seen already. Second is important thing, you have to quote live examples also, because then only you will be able to make or upgrade the answer or write a good answer. So you have to definitely quote live examples. You have to quote possible some administrators or some situations, live situations, real situations, which you have observed. So here also we are doing the same thing. For instance, during the COVID-19 vaccine rollout, prioritizing the elderly and poor reflected utilitarian efficiency, Rawlsian justice, and Gandhian ethics of care. So this is example how these ethical values or theories have guided the proper decision making in a real situation. Thus, ethical decision making arises not from rules alone, but from a harmonized application of duty, consequence, virtue, and fairness, grounded in both universal ethical principles and India's moral traditions. So, this is first question. Second question in 2024, again it has come 5A. This is again 10 marks question, 150 words question. The code of conduct and code of ethics are sources of guidance in public administration. There is a code of conduct already in operation, whereas a code of ethics is not yet put in place. As you have already seen in the notes, second ARC has already suggested to put code of ethics also to be enforced, but it has still not been done. Whereas the code of ethics is not yet put in place, suggests a suitable model for code of ethics to maintain integrity, probity, and transparency in governance. So this is again very, very important question. It has come in 2024. Now let us see. So here directive, if you see, suggest a suitable model for code of ethics to maintain integrity, probity, and transparency. So you have to suggest basically a suitable model. This is what has to be done in about 150 words. Now let us see what can be the answer. While code of conduct outlines enforceable behavioral rules, for example, All India Service Conduct Rules, a code of ethics provides a broader moral vision to guide discretionary and value-laden decisions. A suitable model may include. So now actual answer starts. This one sentence is just introduction and repeating what has been already mentioned in the question. First is foundational values: integrity, empathy, political neutrality, and constitutional morality from B.R. Ambedkar. Then ethical standards: conflict of interest, disclosure, fiduciary responsibilities, and respect for human dignity. M.N. Ross, ethical humanism. Third is inspirational principles: Gandhian ethics, truth, self-restraint, trusteeship, and Nolan 7 principles, which include selflessness, accountability, and openness. Then fourth, implementation mechanism: ethics officers, periodic training, annual declarations, and protection for whistleblowers. Second ARC recommendations already include all this. Then dynamic review, biennial updates to address evolving ethical dilemmas in areas like AI and data governance, because still there are very, very nascent stage developments in AI and data governance as far as ethics is concerned. So there, dynamic review also needs to be done so that it can be, ethics also can be aligned with recent scientific developments, technological developments, which are being used in administration quite frequently. Such a model fosters value-based public service, where ethical reasoning enhances rule-based conduct, ensuring governance that is morally resilient and public trusted. Now, these two PYQs, which I wanted to take because 2023, there were no direct questions as far as this topic is concerned. As I told, obviously, there were case studies and other questions where these topics content have to be incorporated. So this completes basically today's class. Next week, as you know, on 24th of this month, we are having the UPSC 2025 exam ethics paper. What I will do is in next class, I will try to discuss the question paper of this year, and we'll try to take up particularly case studies, whatever case studies have come, we'll try to answer a few case studies, and we'll try to see also the theoretical questions. So in next 1 or 2 classes, I will like to take up the 2025 exam paper, actual exam paper of ethics, which is going to be held on 24th August. So this is what I just want to inform the students. Now, thanks a lot for participating in today's class.